Forget what you think you know. Before the video games, before the big blockbuster movies, there were whispers, legends, you see, of men and women who moved like ghosts. They struck from the shadows, changing entire empires with just one silent blade, or a terrible unseen attack. They were the first Black Ops, the deadliest special forces from a time filled with darkness and war. This is the story of the real Assassin's Creed. The time people often call the Dark Ages, that's roughly from the 5th to the 15th century. Well, it was a time of savage wars. Power was always changing hands, and empires were built with fire and blood. But behind all the big battles and the loud cavalry charges, another kind of war was going on. A war in the shadows. A war of spies, of secret attacks, and of killing specific targets. In this war, winning wasn't about how much land you conquered. No, it was about messing up your enemies, getting rid of threats, and finding out secrets that could bring down kings. Deep in the dangerous mountains of Persia, a new group started up. One that would make kings and rulers shake with fear. The Nizari Ismailis. Their enemies called them the Hashshashin. Their leader was the mysterious Hassan-i-Sabah, known as the Old Man of the Mountain. Now, these guys weren't your usual army. Oh no. They were a special force of Feudal, people ready to give up everything. Their training was the stuff of legends, full of myths. They spent years learning everything. Languages, how to sneak in, how to wear disguises, and the deadliest skills. Their loyalty? Total. They weren't afraid of anything. Anything at all. They were taught that dying while serving was a way to get to paradise. And believe me, that was a powerful way to mess with people's minds. The dagger was their main tool, sure. But their real weapon? Terror. They worked like surgeons. So precise. Often in the middle of the day, in busy markets, or even in enemy palaces. They made their kills public. Terrifying messages for everyone to see. They used fear as a weapon, making people scared of them far and wide, much more than their small numbers should have allowed. From powerful leaders like Nizam al-Mulk to crusader chiefs like Conrad of Montferrat, no one was too powerful for them to target. Their killings weren't just random violence. Oh no, they were smart political moves, all to protect their own people and shake up their enemies. They made everyone believe they couldn't be touched, that they were deadly efficient. The Hashshashin became legends. Their name even became the word for assassin. Now, a lot of stories about them are probably stretched a bit, right? But what they did to the politics of the Middle East back then? You can't deny it. They were the ultimate shadow warriors. The Varangian Guard, axes of the emperor. Way out west, in the shiny heart of the Byzantine Empire, was Constantinople, the richest city in the whole world. And protecting its emperor? A force of warriors, the toughest fighters from the north, the Varangian Guard. At first, they were mostly Vikings and Rus. Later on, Anglo-Saxons who were running from the Norman takeover joined them too. These were men who cared more about loyalty to the one paying them than anything else. Their promise to the emperor was holy, a bond often stronger than their ties to their own homes. They were famous for their incredible strength, their wild berserker-like anger in battle, and their amazing skill with that giant axe. Wow, they were the emperor's best shock troops on the battlefield, and his totally loyal personal guards inside the palace. To fight the Varangians? That meant facing a wall of steel and death. Sure, they were mainly protectors, but because they were so loyal and fierce, they often got the really important jobs. Stopping rebellions, guarding key prisoners, and being the very last line of defense when everything seemed lost. Just them being there could stop plots and scare off enemies. For hundreds of years, the Varangian Guard was the symbol of Byzantine power and the emperor's terrifying strength. What people thought of them echoed all across Europe and the Middle East, a real tribute to those fierce warriors from the north. Byzantine agents, the empire's eyes and ears. The Byzantine Empire didn't just use brute force, you know. For over 1,000 years, it survived because of smart talking with other nations, tricky alliances, and a really good spy network. One that would impress even modern spy agencies. Their agents, they were masters of a different kind of war. They had the famous Bureau of Barbarians, which was all about getting information on other countries. But they also had individual spies, diplomats, and even merchants gathering news. The Byzantines built up a huge network for information. They understood that knowing things was power, knowing enemy weaknesses, knowing who was arguing with whom, and knowing who could be their friends. Their missions were all sorts, starting rebellions in enemy lands, bribing officials, spreading false information, catching messages, and even getting important people to switch sides. They played the long game, quietly pulling strings to make things go their way. They often avoided big, expensive wars by using smarts and secret actions first. This unseen army of spies and diplomats, it was so important for keeping the Byzantine Empire going for so long. It helped them handle a really dangerous world surrounded by enemies. They were the Empire's shield. In the shadows, Viking shock troops, the Berserkers, rage. From the icy fjords of Scandinavia, the Vikings burst onto the world stage. Now, all Viking warriors were tough, no doubt, but some learned to go into a terrifying battle rage. They became like forces of nature on the battlefield, the Berserkers and the Ulfhednar. People said they were skin changers, fighting with no armor, biting their shields, howling like animals. These warriors went into a wild, furious state. Old stories and tales say they couldn't feel pain, that they had super strength. Whether it was from rituals or special drugs or just pure battle madness, the effect they had was devastating. More than just tough fighters, Berserkers were a mind game. The way they looked, the way they acted, it was all meant to break the enemy's spirit before a single sword was swung. They were often put right at the front of the attack. Their job? To smash through enemy lines and spread pure terror. What exactly was this Berserker gang? Historians still argue about it. But their legend as the ultimate unstoppable warriors, that lives on. They stand for the raw, wild fury of the Viking Age, a terrifying black ops force of pure animal power. Whispers from the east and other shadows. But these shadow wars weren't just happening in Europe and the Middle East. Oh no, far to the east, old empires like China had been using their own clever spy networks and secret operations for a long, long time. Sun Tzu's Art of War, written centuries before the time we're talking about, has whole chapters just on using spies. During big dynasties like the Tang and Song, Imperial China used agents to gather information, cause trouble for enemies, and stir up problems between rival states and wandering tribes. Their ways were quiet, patient, and a really big part of how they planned things. During the Islamic Golden Age, different caliphates and emirates also set up their own spy services. The Barid postal system, for example. It often did double duty as an intelligence network, sending vital information for running the government and for defense. Special guard units, sometimes made up of Sakaliba, who were Slavic slave soldiers, or other foreign soldiers, could also be given secret, important missions. All over the world, wherever people were fighting for power, there were individuals and groups who played outside the usual rules of war. From scouts on horseback who went deep into enemy lands to palace servants acting as secret informers. The Dark Ages were full of secret activities, and these activities shaped history in ways we're only just starting to understand now. Legacy of the Shadow Warriors. These ancient Black Ops units, even though they were from different cultures, different places, and different times, they all had things in common. Top-notch training, unshakable commitment, special ways of fighting. And they all understood that some battles aren't won with big armies, but with whispers, shadows, and one single, perfect move. They were the spies, the special forces, the secret assassins of their time. Their methods, often brutal, their reasons, complicated. But what they did, you can't deny it. They laid the groundwork for spying and secret warfare that's still changing even today. The line between history and legend, it's often blurry, isn't it? But the echoes of these deadly warriors, they still ring out, reminding us that the urge to control things from the shadows, well, that's as old as fighting itself. The Dark Ages. They weren't just a time of simple, rough people. Not at all. It was a complicated, exciting time. full of people and groups who worked with amazing skill and cleverness. The truth, as they say, is often stranger and way more exciting than fiction. So, what other ancient special forces or legendary spies do you know about? Let us know in the comments below. If you thought this journey into the world of ancient Black Ops was fascinating, make sure to like this video. Subscribe for more trips into the hidden corners of history, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into the past.